It is midnight in Eastern Africa. 11 p.m. in Southern Africa. In Nigeria, it is 10 p.m. Our top stories tonight. Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria says $1 billion inflow shows rebounding Forex market. President Tinubu signs amended Electricity Act bill into law. Airline operators lament surge in price of fuel on friendly environment. Thank you for joining us on Nigeria Tonight. I'm Felicity Ezewike. Our coverage begins with economic matters. Nigeria's Apex Bank says that the nation's foreign exchange market is currently on a rebound as it has received over $1 billion in liquidity following strict policies put in place to stabilize Nigeria's foreign exchange rate. The governor, Olayemi Cardoso, made this known during an interactive session with the Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions aimed at updating lawmakers on reasons for the free fall of the Naira. Our correspondent, Abiodun Joseph, tells us more.
The appearance of the senior officials of the nation's Apex Bank and members of Nigeria's economic team, including the Minister of Agriculture, is coming barely 3 days after the Senate had summoned the CBN governor to give an explanation on the state of the nation's economy. Lawmakers say they are determined to get to the root cause of the receding value of the Naira in the exchange market so as to stop this downward trend. Responding to the myriad of economic challenges the country is currently facing, the governor of Nigeria's central bank says that comprehensive strategies have been put in place to address the current exchange rate volatility being witnessed. He says that with over $1 billion Forex inflow in recent days, it is evident that the policies are working.
For example, upwards of the past few days, we have had over $1 billion that have come into the market, over $1 billion. And this, quite frankly, is the answer to the question, because the question was raised as to how do we know that your policies are working? And in fact, we were challenged to say that in fact they are not. And I would argue that with the numbers speaking and saying what is going on.
He adds that for the measures to be sustainable at stopping the free fall of the Naira, Nigerians must reduce their appetite for the consumption of foreign-made goods and services.
Honestly, CBN has no magic wand. We do not have. Our responsibility is in the process. If foreign exchange comes into us, we manage it in a way that is in best interest of the country, and we do not have excessive volatility. Okay, that's one. Our argument on the demand side is that we as Nigerians also must work together to moderate demand. Where there are opportunities for us to substitute locally, so we should.
On food security, the Minister of Agriculture blamed the situation on the failure of the past administration to not plan properly for the wet season farming. Also, the Minister of Finance called for an open market, saying that measures must be put in place to prevent end market monopoly.
I don't think there was any impact or any direct intervention by government against the 2023 cultivation. That also impacted on the quantum of harvest that we had in 2023.
At this period of reform and vulnerability, market capture, state capture, those with the power and dominance of markets should not be allowed to use that.
With the Senate expressing worry over the situation in the country, as well as the free fall of the Naira, lawmakers say quick solutions from the Apex Bank are needed to stabilize the Naira and restore confidence to the nation's economy. In Abuja for News Central, I am Abiodun Joseph.
To further discuss this, I'm joined by an economist and senior manager at PwC Nigeria, Abiodun Kayode Alli. Abiodun, it's good to have you on the news. The words of the CBN governor is quite heartwarming, but then it may not be a true reflection of the situation out there in the markets and homes where the cost of living is at an all-time high. Let us begin with asking you to help us reconcile this.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Felicity. I quite agree with you. Cost of living is quite high at this point in time, and we hear news about the CBN saying about $1 billion is currently available in the market due to its measures. Well, the expectation is that sometimes these policies have what is referred to as a lag, right? So there is going to be a certain period of time from which we begin to see the effectiveness of these policies take effect in the market, right? So what the CBN is currently trying to do with a lot of its measures is to address the issue of foreign exchange. And one honest truth is that there is hardly anything that we have to do with in this economy that doesn't have to do with importing items. And to import these items, you need foreign exchange, right? So to some extent, we will begin to see some of the outcome, the fruits of some of the measures being taken by the CBN subsequently. One other measure that the CBN governor is trying to do right now is to address some of the excess liquidity in terms of Naira that we have in the market, right? Because inflation can also be defined as too much money purchasing few goods. We've seen situations where the past administration, past CBN governor had given out monies to the federal government without any commensurate productive activity. So what the CBN governor has also said is that there is no longer going to be any more giving of money to the executive arm, right, until the previous money that is being owed is fully paid. So like I said, it will take some time to begin to see this impact on Nigerians. So I think we need to exercise a little patience there.
For someone who is not quite vast with the terminologies and explanation, break it down. What specific measures has the central bank implemented to stabilize foreign exchange rates, and how are they expected to impact inflation in Nigeria?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks a lot for that question, Felicity. So one of the measures that it has taken has to do with banks, right? There is something referred to as their net open position. So basically, in simple terms, banks sometimes, due to their operations, they are required to hold some certain foreign currencies, right, among their assets and also among their liabilities. So what the CBN has said is that as much as possible, they should calculate only the amount of foreign exchange they need, right? And any excess should be sold to the market. Now, the reason why the CBN has done this is because the same way the dollar is appreciating against the Naira, and it seems like the banks are in a good position, things could turn the other way around, whereby the Naira begins to appreciate and the banks would be in a kind of loss. So the CBN is trying to avoid this kind of volatility that can impact on these banks, right? And also the CBN is trying to say in a situation whereby they have excess liquidity, they should dispose of it. And as long as they dispose of it and put it into the economy, we see a situation whereby there are enough dollars, right, to be able to import for manufacturers, right? Manufacturers can access these dollars. As long as they can access these dollars and they can make their imports and carry out their production, we'll see a situation whereby imported items, the prices begin to go down, right? Prices of, if you consider, for instance, even the fuel that is being imported, the PMS, right? We have to import refined petrol. So the prices will go down as long as FX is available. So that's how it actually affects inflation. Also, some of the food items, right? Because we know not everything that we actually consume is being produced locally. We still have to rely on imports. As long as we have enough FX to make those imports, they become cheaper from that sense of the word.
All right. Why does Cardoso emphasize the need for Nigerians to moderate how they spend, they demand foreign exchange?
Yeah, and that's a very good point. So the reason why he had to make that point is because if you consider the reason for the depreciation of the Naira, there are two sides to it. There is a side of supply. Do we have enough FX to actually supply the market? Or could it be a case whereby there is a huge demand, right? There is a demand that is, you could say, is excess, in the sense that Nigerians are no longer patronizing locally made goods and services, right? So in the example he gave, he cited two instances whereby Nigerians go on medical tourism as well as seek for education abroad. And he said these two items or these two services that Nigerians are seeking for, they were enough, they covered for our entire reserves, right? Nigerians had spent about $40 billion for these two services. Imagine a situation whereby we decided to seek these services locally. It means that our reserves will currently be double what we have at the moment. So this kind of demand, right, by the time we begin to seek to demand for local items, we will be able to save the FX and the Naira will begin to appreciate. So I think this is something that you can't force Nigerians to do, but you can just try and preach the message of seeking or consuming things locally. So I think it's actually a good thing. The CBN can only work on the supply. Nigerians ourselves need to work on the demand, and that way we are able to save the Naira.
Well, we patiently wait for these policies to begin to reflect on the prices of goods and services. Thank you very much, Abiodun, for the insight.
Thank you for having me, Felicity.
In southwest Nigeria, a group of youths took to the streets of Osogbo, the Osun state capital, to protest worsening economic hardship and insecurity. The protesters displayed placards with several inscriptions, chanting solidarity songs to express their grievances and demands for improved living standards for Nigerians. Leader of the protesters, Wahid Lawal, lamented that the policies of the current government are anti-people and not aimed at ameliorating the sufferings of the masses. Their protest followed similar ones in Niger and Kano states. In Niger State, the demonstrators, mostly women and youths, blocked a major road in the state capital to demand help over living costs. In North Central, residents of Jos, capital of Plateau State, have urged the government to wade into the harsh economic situation that currently defines the daily life of the Nigerian citizen. News Central's Chizoba Anyowe was at Terminus Market in the state capital and sent in this report.
My own love is always to come and ask me what is happening in the market, and no solution. Me, I don't want to be talking anytime again. I no go talk anytime again. If there's no solution, anytime when I come to this market, why not near me?
This is one of the many issues Nigeria's economic meltdown over the past few months has brought on the table. Protests have been held in some cities. Government has also made some promises, but the effects are far from being seen. Except for a few wealthy people, which is insignificant in number, most Nigerians are now united in the same struggle of meeting up with soaring prices with diminishing income.
This thing is painful. And they will always be talking about this. Nobody will say he listen to us. Now come to market and say we talk and. No, nothing come out. Depend you.
Higher cost too much. See ugu where you go buy 2,000, then go tell you say na 10,000. You know cost. Ogusi where we dey buy am to 2,000, then go tell you say 5,000. You know cost.
By this time, Kevi is supposed to do 70,000. Normal price, but now it's 120,000. So nothing is easy.
Comparing the cost of foodstuffs a few months ago with what is on the ground today paints a picture of what the reality is.
God, I'm serving till I die. Now I have to serve. No matter how things go, God will lead me to my destination. God will help me.
The salary, of course, has not been increased for, a number of years. And of course, whatever you receive now, given the high cost of foreign currency, particularly the dollar, the salary you were receiving 2-3 years ago cannot even buy half of what you used to buy. That is in this present economy.
What this portends for our country and the economy may not be palatable.
There is a hope. Hope is if the government really wants to do the right thing. The one advantage of the subsidy withdrawal is that a lot of revenue is accrued to the government. Government is getting a lot of money because of that subsidy. Those wastages are no more there. Now, what do you do with the wastage? The extra money you now get, once they are channeled properly, that will be all.
It is no longer news how bad the cost of living has become in Nigeria. Here in Plateau State, it is not a different case, as other parts of the country are also feeling the same pain. Now, what they ask for is that government at all levels do what is necessary and very fast to improve the means of livelihood of citizens. In Jos for News Central, I am Chizoba Anyomi.
Many thanks, Chizoba. The Christian Association of Nigeria in the 19 northern states and the Federal Capital Territory has lamented the prevailing economic hardship and the increasing security challenges across the country. Secretary General, Northern Chapter of the association, Sunday Oibe, in a statement alleged that the suffering in the country is becoming unbearable for ordinary Nigerians. The statement lamented the rampaging activities of bandits in Plateau State and other parts of the country, while calling for the review of the security architecture for effective and decisive action. The Christian body urged the government at all levels to support security agencies with all that is required to fight crime. If the directive of the federal government is sincerely followed, there may be a drop of prices of food items in the coming days. More conversations will be coming on this shortly. You're watching Nigeria Tonight on News Central. Coming up, Nigerian Labour Congress says it never wants strikes, but wants things done right. We'll tell you more after the break. Do stay with us. If you've just joined us, you're watching Nigeria Tonight. A reminder of our top stories. Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria says $1 billion inflow shows rebounding Forex market. President Tinubu signs amended Electricity Act bill into law. Airline operators lament surge in price of fuel on friendly environment. Good to know you're still with us. President Bola Tinubu has directed the immediate release of over 100,000 metric tons of assorted food items from the Strategic Reserve and the Rice Millers Association of Nigeria as a short-term response to the rising food shortage in the country. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, disclosed this to journalists at the State House after a meeting of the Special Presidential Committee on Emergency Food Intervention on Thursday. The minister said that the government has proposed to embark on import of whatever shortfalls may be experienced after the release of the food commodities. He added that the government will mete out appropriate measures on food hoarders, adding that emergencies require emergency measures to ensure food is available to Nigerians. Joining me to discuss this is international journalist Kelechi Deka. Kelechi, thank you very much for giving us your time. How do you assess the effectiveness and fairness of the decision by the Niger State governor, let's start from there, to restrict the movement of food staples wholesale to the south amid protests over the high cost of food in the country?
Yeah, basically what's happening in Niger State and the decision of the governor to ban, I won't call it export, to ban bulk purchase of food stuff from other states, it portends a danger that's going to happen. And, other states are also going to start towing that line if nothing happens within the very shortest time, because with the crisis up there and the protest that's happening, you're going to experience a spread of that protest because things are hard all over the country. And what makes it even more precarious is the fact that some of these foodstuff, some of the rising foodstuff are not imported food products. These are food products that are grown within our locality, and their prices are going high at this level. It shows you that the Naira is all continuing to, to lose value and as it loses value, it affects almost every aspect of human endeavors. And I don't see it abating in the nearest future, because the response of the government presently is not likely to make a dent on the food challenges we are facing now.
Are you referencing this announcement? Are you referencing this announcement by the very recent one by the president that is going to release emergency food items? You said that's not going to help at all?
Yeah, it's not going to help, because you're looking at 100,000 metric tons, and you have a population of about 200 million. Okay, let's say that out of the population of about 210 million, let's say that 10 million people are well-to-do, they might not need it, or say 20 million, or say, okay, let's be generous enough and say 30 million people are well-to-do, they might not need anything from that strategic food reserve. And okay, 170 million people. If you share 100 metric tons of grain to 170 million people, I mean, do you think one family is going to just get a cup or even a pint or even a derica, cup from that grain? It's not going to happen. Just do the math. You will see it's not going to happen, because we've allowed things to go so bad. And part of the challenges we are having presently is that we are not trying to link up the rising food cost within the last few weeks to also the rising insecurity in the last few weeks. All these things are connected. And when you have all the high cost of fueling and transportation add to it, it kind of exacerbates the whole thing. So it's not just releasing 100 metric tons that's going to solve a problem that's been brewing over and over. And they are also telling you that they will release it and wait for the effect before they start importing fuel. I mean, that is not really going to work, because that gap you're going to allow there is also going to lead to a more precarious situation.
In the meantime, then, how can Nigerians collectively navigate these challenges posed by high cost of living? And what role might public awareness and advocacy play in fostering constructive dialogue between the government and the citizens?
Okay, let me take you back. Sometime in August, or between August and September, the president declared an emergency on food insecurity. And from that time they declared an emergency on food insecurity to now, you will see that food inflation has added about 5 to 6%, which means that the earlier declaration did not have any impact. Either it didn't have any impact, or nothing was just done apart from just making that announcement. Because from that time to now, there has been a high rise in food inflation. And one thing you have to know is that any society whereby the average family spends over 50% of their income on food alone, that society is a criminal society. And now we're not talking about 50% of the income on food alone. People are spending up to 60 to 70% of their income on food alone. So when they spend this amount of money on food, you know that there are other things that are not made. Issues like healthcare, issues like education, and issues like housing. All these things are going to be left unmet. So it tells you that this thing is a cycle, and one thing is linking to another. And when you have challenge in one area, it's also causing a negative impact in another area. And if nothing is done right now, which I think the best thing we can do right now, how can we stem rising insecurity so that even the food in some of the states and some of the localities and the rural areas that have been harvested but cannot be brought into the city are tackled?
You just said yourself that everything is interconnected, with the economy. What broader strategies would you recommend for achieving sustainable solutions to food security, availability, and hopefully that will lead to economic stability at both the state and national levels?
Yeah, in your earlier report, one of the commentators made something about flowing back the funds from the subsidy back into the system. That is one. But most importantly now, as long as you have a situation whereby Nigerians cannot move freely from one part of the country to another, and you know that we live in a country whereby foodstuff are moved from rural areas to the cities. If you don't tackle rising insecurity, perception of insecurity is a greater insecurity, and not just on food production alone, but every other thing that is connected to the economy. There is this stifling effect that is happening. And more people are losing hope, more people are getting frustrated, the more whatever policy you're putting on the table is not going to work. So the first things first, stem insecurity, give people hope, something to look up to, that you can stop this menace so that even farmers can go back to farm. There are so many farmers that have abandoned their farms all over, be it in the Middle Belt, be it in southern Nigeria or northern Nigeria.
We definitely have to start from somewhere. Yeah, we most definitely have to start from somewhere. Thank you very much, Kelechi, for speaking with us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
The Nigeria Labour Congress says giving ultimatums to the government does not mean that the labor unions enjoy going on strikes, adding that they only want the right things to be done. Both the NLC and the Trade Union Congress had issued a 14-day ultimatum to the federal government to fulfill the 16-point agreement with the workers since October last year. Reacting to some comments condemning Labour for always issuing threats for strike, Head of International Relations of the NLC, Uchenna Ekwe, said they only issue an ultimatum when reminders to the government are not acted upon. He lamented that some items out of the 16-point agreement have not received any attention and that the unions want it to be addressed. Let's tell you that President Bola Tinubu has assented to the Electricity Act Amendment Bill 2024 into law. Special advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, on Friday said the Electricity Act Amendment Bill 2024 seeks to address the development and environmental concerns of host communities. It also sets aside 5% of the actual annual operating expenditures of power generating companies from the preceding year for the development of their respective host communities. Sponsored by Baba Jimmy Benson, who represents the Ikorodu Federal Constituency of Lagos State, the bill was passed by the House of Representatives on July 27, 2023, and the Senate on November 14, 2023. To one of our headline stories, unfriendly cost of air transportation in Nigeria may not be getting better anytime soon, as airline operators express concern over rising operational costs in addition to surge in the price of aviation fuel. Aviation fuel now sells for 1,300 naira per litre. Spokesman of airline operators, Obiora Okonkwo, made this known in a statement on Friday. The operators traced the major challenge confronting the sector to the fluctuation in foreign exchange, which has pushed one United States dollar to be exchanged for 1,400. Air passengers, according to the statement, are already exhausted and may not be able to meet up with any further increase in airfares. The statement urges immediate government intervention to save numerous airlines from total collapse. The Lagos state government has finalized an agreement to procure additional rolling stock for the Blue Line and Rail Line commuter rail operations. These extra rail cars, expected to arrive from China before the end of the year, are aimed at providing further transportation alternatives to Lagos' huge population of commuting residents. News Centre's Ni Omoni provides details.
Dubbed the Blue Line, Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital, commenced operations on its initial 8-mile phase of the rail line on September 4, 2023. This line connects the mainland, where most residents live, with the affluent Lagos Island area, where many businesses are headquartered.
Within 30 minutes, we've been to about 4-5 places.
This is really time saving.
5 months later, additional rail cars are expected to arrive in Lagos from China before the end of the year, as the state government procures more stock.
Train is not something you just buy off the shelf. We're not as lucky as when we were with Milwaukee, which was produced, for a particular city, but we had to just pay the premium and take it off. It usually takes between 2 to 3 years, for you to finish the manufacture, because each one of them has its own specification, the platform, and the load that you require, right? But we're lucky that we've agreed with them. They've done the blue lines before, so in less than a year, right, we're going to still have a tough discussion with them. Before the end of the year, we're expecting that some of the stocks will start coming in.
Testing of the red line, which is set to run from Agbado to Oto and is nearing completion, has been undertaken by the Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority Lamata ahead of its official opening.
We will be able to complete the red line infrastructure before the end of the first quarter of 2024. And so therefore, we expect to be able to commission the same before the end of the first quarter of 2024.
While this rail initiative is laudable, some experts believe that if the government takes appropriate action regarding transportation, health, education, and other sectors alongside maintenance culture, it may not have to contend with alternative solutions improvised by citizens to address gaps.
Lagos didn't have rail system for a very long time. The people initiated Okada system. You understand? So it's not very, very difficult because these things just didn't come. They came about because there was a gap. Create your alternative. Let the clearly state the benefit of the alternative. And for those who find it difficult to move, that other alternative is still there. That is how things should run.
The red line will be 30 kilometers long and run between Marina and Agbado, while the blue line will be 27 kilometers long, connecting Okokomaiko to Marina. As Lagosians anticipate the completion and full operation of these rail projects, they hope similar initiatives will spread to other sectors to help relieve the millions of Lagos residents. In Lagos for News Central, Ni Omani.
A former governor of Lagos State and two-term minister, Babatunde Raji Fashola, has presented a book titled Nigerian Public Discourse, which seeks to address certain issues in the country. The presentation saw a gathering of captains of industries to felicitate with the author, while also digging deep into current national issues and seeking solutions. News Central's Bernard Akede was at the presentation. His report.
This is the output of my public service experience.
A two-term governor of Lagos State, minister heading different ministries, a senior advocate of Nigeria, and a seasoned politician, amongst many other hats that he wears, including now an author. Babatunde Raji Fashola has put together a book seeking to spark serious conversations in and out of the country, as well as seek solutions to national issues.
I think it's a book worth reading. I think it's a book that encourages us to think and to use information, knowledge, rather than just talking from hearsay.
A lot of what the book talks about, those conversations, those, the idea of empirical evidence, hyperbole, all that stuff, it plays out on social media, on digital media. So digital media is the battlefield, it's the staging ground for these things. So I think that at the least, this book should stimulate those conversations on social media, because social media is where they tend to play out most actively these days.
The event brought together politicians in their numbers, traditional rulers, people from the academia, businessmen and women, amongst many other professionals. But it was the panel discussion during the book presentation that gave the guests a sneak peek into the kind of issues the book seeks to address.
So
what he's trying to do is evoke conversation about having high-level conversations, intelligent and empirical conversations about the matters that are affecting the whole nation. So going from INEC to restructuring to our constitution to the powers of the president. So taking our conversations that we're having in public discourse and making them more intelligent and more informed and relying on data.
Notable speakers also gave their opinion on what they believe the book could do. However, when the author took the stage, he gave a clearer reason as to why issues concerning governance should be documented in books like this one to aid better conversation and seek solutions.
The event is intended to provoke serious conversations about our much beloved country and hopefully then elicit more serious action. And I think the conversations have started. As I had hinted, a sequel may not be too far away because the issues that provoke this adventure are many and they are unyielding. But I don't expect that there won't be disagreement, and we've started to see that. And long may the disagreement continue. It shows that perhaps we're all looking at different things.
The book, which brought back conversations about the use of data and social media in governance, saw the President's Chief of Staff call for the regulation of social media in Nigeria, a topic that has in recent times been keenly debated.
When I was Speaker, I attempted to do this. The Ninth Assembly attempted, but we were resisted very vigorously by civil society. I guess the chickens have come home to roost, and I believe we're all on the same page now that social media is a menace and it must be regulated.
With the reactions that this book by Babatunde Fashola has gathered already, some believe that there just might be more to come from this new author's desk. In Lagos for News Central, I'm Bernard Akede.
You're watching Nigeria Tonight. Still to come, Nigerian troops neutralized 266 terrorists in January. There is more after the break. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. We'll talk security in a moment, but in the meantime, let's tell you that in a bold move to tackle the nationwide Japa syndrome and improve healthcare delivery, Governor David Waifuru of Ebonyi State has announced a Stay and Serve initiative. The governor said the program aims to incentivize doctors working in the state's general hospitals by offering a monthly 150,000 Naira relief allowance on top of their regular salaries. During a meeting with the Ananda Maga Universal Relief Team Foundation, Governor Waifuru stated that the initiative is a demonstration of his administration's commitment to providing quality healthcare services to all Ebonyi citizens. He explained that the allowance will help doctors fuel their new cars and offset other sundry expenses, ultimately improving their quality of life and reducing the urge to migrate. Joining me on the news to discuss this development on a nationwide scale and how it impacts the welfare of doctors across the nation is Dr. Ofonere Chukwunonso. He is the President, Association of Resident Doctors, ESUT Park Lane, and a Senior Registrar at the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology. Thank you very much for joining us. What is the current welfare situation of doctors in your state? Is the news an exaggeration or it is what the governor said?
Okay, thank you for having me. Actually, the news is for Ebonyi State, but I'm the president of Association of Resident Doctors, ESU Teaching Hospital, Park Lane, which is in Enugu State. So we received the news from Ebonyi State as a good one. However, in my state, Enugu State, there are also some welfare packages that our governor, Barrister Ndubisi Mba, has also initiated to help doctors to stem the problem of brain drain, and that includes the issue of medical residency training fund, which is a training fund to assist resident doctors in writing their exams. Is a kind of a fund that is released to doctors that are going for training, that are into training, to help them in their exams, because we write exams in West Africa and the national exams, and these exams runs in millions. So our governor has approved that welfare scheme for us, and some other things that are also like palliative or hardship allowance for doctors, even though our house officers are not benefiting from that, but we hope that very soon they will be part of it. So these are the basic ones that are currently ongoing. However, we are still discussing the issue of housing loan and car loan for doctors in Enugu State. So we believe that very soon that our governor will look into that, and we approve that for doctors in Enugu State, so as to reduce the menace of brain drain. Thank you.
What kind of impact could a program like what you have in Ebonyi and what you're saying is happening in Enugu have on stemming brain drain if implemented, maybe on a national level? Some of the things you're enjoying there moved to other states and replicated, and what Enugu State, Ebonyi State is also doing replicated. Could incentives like maybe monthly allowance and cars only impact retaining doctors?
Okay, yes, it has a lot of impact, in the sense that it will encourage the doctors that are still in Nigeria to remain, because if you go outside, actually, what are the driving factors on brain drain in Nigeria is poor welfare. So if the current governors, especially in the Southeast, have initiated the process of better welfare for health workers, I think it goes a long way in impacting the health system, in the sense that you have more doctors to be on the ground to take care of patients in the state. And also, there is motivation. The doctors are motivated to work with their heart and to take care of their family, because you can't be working and you are thinking of the welfare of your family. You will not give the best to your patient. So I believe that it has impact on patients, it has impact on doctors, because psychologically you work and you work with a better mental health and other things. So it has a great impact on doctors and on patients and healthcare in Nigeria in general. So we encourage other governors to learn from these governors, the Ebonyi State Governor and Enugu State Governor, to help stem the issue of brain drain in the health sector.
All right, Doctor, thank you very much for speaking with us. We appreciate your time. Now let's talk security. Nigeria's defense headquarters says that it has neutralized almost 300 terrorists in January alone. Director of the Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, during a bi-weekly update in the nation's capital, Abuja, says that troops will continue to engage terrorists and criminal elements and warns them to either surrender or meet an unfortunate end. He assured citizens that the defense headquarters will continue to engage troublemakers as part of its mandate to restore law and order to the country.
January, troops recorded the following. We neutralized 266 terrorists. We arrested 463 of them, and we rescued 116 kidnapped hostages. We also recovered 447 assorted weapons and over 6,690 assorted ammunition. We denied
Let's now join our sports desk for tonight's update.
Organizers of the Lagos City Marathon have confirmed that 88 elite runners from across the world will participate in the 9th edition of the race, which flags off on Saturday at the National Stadium, Surulere, Lagos. A press conference was held today, Friday, 9th March, which was attended by officials of World Athletics, race sponsors, and some of the elite athletes, mostly from East Africa. The Lagos City Marathon, which is in its 9th edition, a gold label race which is globally recognized by World Athletics and elite runners across the world. According to Bukola Olopade, CEO of Nilayo Sports Management Limited, organizers of the event, the marathon has formed a key part of the global athletics calendar, as well as a highly anticipated annual event for Lagos State, and this year promises to be bigger and better as they chase a highly sought-after platinum label accreditation. Also speaking, World Athletics Africa Vice President Jackson Tuwe reiterated the importance of the event to World Athletics. The race will additionally serve as a qualifier for the upcoming Paris 2024 Olympic Games, adding another layer of significance to the event.
The marathon has become so solid in the execution, in the way we churn it out to the public, because of all of those elements. It's a very good platform for competitiveness. It's a good platform for charitable work. It's a good platform for fun runners. And the volunteering has increased tremendously, which means stakeholders across the board are over 10,000 stakeholders. That's minus the runners. This year we've given out bips and vests to over 68,000 people. And for me, it can only continue to grow because we're all tenaciously passionate about Lagos, about Nigeria, and about the marathon.
Any event that is listed as running event is very important to us in World Athletics because it is part of the program, it is part of the thinking that we have in terms of promoting sports of athletics, promoting the sport in terms of athletes, in terms of technology, in terms of development, in terms of growth of sport. So it's a very important element for us because you know, for example, that marathon is always run in the Olympics, marathon is always run in the World Championships, marathon is always run in cities which are organized by cities themselves, and they pay quite well to the athletes who are also our interest. And so we take this as a very serious thing because it's important. It's important that athletes get a chance to compete, to practice, to prepare, and to train. And if they get opportunities like this, more opportunities, more practice, then they get more competition and they get more experience. And therefore, in the process, they also get something good whenever they do well. And so this we take it very seriously.
Team Nigeria's contingent to the 2024 African Games will open camp on Friday the 15th in 5 states across the Federation as preparation hits second gear for the Games, which will take place in Accra, Ghana from the 8th to the 23rd of March. Nigeria will participate in 25 sports, with 8 serving as Olympic qualifiers, including athletics, badminton, cycling, swimming, table tennis, triathlon, and wrestling. Additionally, the country will compete in 15 non-Olympic qualifying sports such as arm wrestling, 3-on-3 basketball, beach volleyball, boxing, chess, cricket, football, and handball. 2 sports, mixed martial arts and Scrabble, will be demonstrated by Nigerian athletes. The camping sites have been designated in Abuja, Lagos, Ibadan, Gombe, and Bayelsa. And that's a wrap on Sports Updates. I am Udoka Njoko.
That's all tonight, but before we go, let's take another look at some of the big stories. Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria says $1 billion inflow shows rebound in Forex market. President Tinubu has signed amended Electricity Act bill into law. Airline operators are lamenting surging price of fuel on friendly environment. Do send your eyewitness reports to the number showing now on your screen, or you could follow us on social media at News Central TV. You can watch live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.